When you're doing knowledge-based work, there's something very specific going on in the brain. It's much different than trying to do manual labor or physical labor that you can pretty much do on autopilot without thinking. When I go cut the grass, I don't need to think. When I go vacuum the house, my mind can literally not even produce a thought or maybe one or two thoughts, and I can get the work done. I can even do things like sometimes play Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies and do an inspirational video at the same time because the game is somewhat mindless most of the time. When you're doing knowledge and creative work, things like I'm making this course right here with you live. As you can see, the video's uploading in the background, the timer running here. This is knowledge-based work that engages the brain on a pretty heavy lifting level. This means it's similar to working out. When I go to the gym, I realize that if I want to get in good shape, what I need to do is work out a little bit every single day. That if I try and go work out for 8 hours at the gym, when I'm only used to doing 30-minute or an hour-long workouts, I may give myself a heart attack. Now, why do we think our brains don't operate in a similar manner? Why is it we assume that our brains work the exact same as our body? Why is it we think that we can do unlimited work with our brains when we know with our body it won't take unlimited work? And you know if you try and do too much with your body, it will drop in performance and then you will risk getting injured. If I went to the gym now, I could probably do a 2-hour workout fairly safely. If I tried to push into 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, I would be getting into injury level. Now, yes, my body could work up to doing 8, 10, 12-hour workouts. This body does very well scaling into doing additional exercise. The brain does not. It does not work the same way. The brain, look at a child. I see my daughter. She doesn't want to do the same thing all day. She likes to go mess around with life. She likes to be playful. Our brains are very much little children. When you try and force your brain to work out the same way you can force your body to work out, the brain fights back. It gets irritated. It gets depressed. It gets annoyed. It gets frustrated. It throws a temper tantrum just like a little kid. Now, as an adult, these behaviors will come out sideways. They'll come out in diseases in the body. They'll come out in stress. They'll come out in anxiety. They'll come out in not wanting to live anymore. They'll come out in unhealthy habits like drinking too much, using other substances, playing video games too much. They'll come out in affairs. They'll come out in all kinds of sideways manners. What I have today is a recipe to live a life where I use my brain just enough and don't go overboard. The consequences are immediately obvious to me now when I go overboard because I'm sensitive. However, for most of my life, I was so armored up, I couldn't even see what I was doing wrong. I couldn't understand why, after I had a 12-hour workday, I woke up the next day and felt like I just didn't want to do anything useful for the rest of the week. That's how the human brain works, similar in that respect to the body. If you go push way past your limits, your body will force you to slow down or you will get hurt. One of the two, you will end up slowing down. Now with the brain, why is it we think that we can sit at work 8 hours a day and do our best work all those hours? What I've seen, I have about 1 to 4 hours a day of my very best work. And you can see it the longer I go do this course. Fatigue's starting to set in. I'm starting to repeat myself more. Some of the lectures at the very beginning were the sharpest. Some of those 1 hour, those very first lectures were right on target. I hope they were. They were very quick and to the point. The longer I keep going, the more I keep dragging my points out, going off topic. That's because the brain does not want to do the same thing all day. The brain wants to have fun. It wants to change things. It wants to play around like a child. And like a child, if you force a child to try and do something, for a long period of time, they'll get bored. They'll sit down and cry. They'll get mad. They won't do it at all. I remember from being forced to do lots of things as a kid, all of the temper tantrums I had. The only difference is that our sickness takes more forms as an adult. We don't sit down and cry. We go to the bar, we have 10 or 15, 20 liquor drinks if you're me, or maybe 5 or 6 beers if you're someone else, and then you go home and throw up and wake up the next day and do it all over again. Or you start pursuing some unhealthy habit, or you go to the gym and exercise for 4 hours, or you start trying to chase another woman if you've already got one, or all kinds of these behaviors that all come back to being frustrated, from being annoyed, from being pissed off, from forcing your brain to do too much, to the point where it starts to unravel, where it starts to lose it. Today I respect that my brain's got about 4 hours of good work in it. And after that, it's going to start to unravel. And I know the consequences for unraveling are very serious for me. I do not want my brain to unravel. My brain needs to be balanced. It needs to be in a good, happy place. Then I don't mean euphoria by happy, like, hey, I'm on top of the world. I mean a peaceful, standard place. I don't want manic depression. When you work too much, you're buying yourself manic depression. That means you're doing this crazy work, you're in there, you're writing all this code, or you're building all these things, and then you've got like 2 months where you're useless, where you can't do anything, or where you're in the middle of something unhealthy. So today, I see, and this is starting to appear all over the place in things I read, when you're doing knowledge work, it's a completely different ballgame than factory work. Why do you think they have nap pods at Google? Some of these companies that are at the very top where all the workers do knowledge work are starting to catch on to this also. Starting to see the human brain has some very hard limits on what it's capable of doing in terms of producing creative work. And if you push past it, there's consequences. Now, often younger people will try and just blast through these things anyway. And then we wonder why we get cancer and strokes and heart attacks and we eat too much. And then we're all unhealthy by the time we're 40. Today, I'm grateful to live a balanced life where I respect that if I want to do my best work, I only have so many hours a day where my brain will tolerate it.